The name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. Tonight we have a very special guest, Miss Lily Sanders. She's an author, an actress, and much, much more. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So another JT person.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, I've had so many people, and he's our casting director.
Yes, so he knows more people than anyone that I know.
Right, he's great. So Lily, you're an actress. So how did you? When did you start acting?
I started acting. Well, I actually started as a dancer.
Oh wow!
So I was raised a ballerina and tap and jazz, and so that was my dream, to do both. I wanted to dance and I wanted to act, produce. So my first, I guess my claim to fame as a dancer was on Star Search in 1985 with Ed McMahon. So I was a contestant on there. Great fun. I actually got that was when I was just before I was getting my Screen Actors, the SAG card.
Right.
So that was kind of a great addition to me, getting that, because you're always doing a series of, you're doing extra work in film, but it's never quite enough to get that SAG card, and so I would say that Star Search kind of added to that on the positive end. Then I traveled as a showgirl dancer. And then I came back to New York and I really got very serious into my acting. And so I'm going to say like the 90s, I was doing film, of course, started out as extra work like everyone else, and little bit parts. I had a little silent bit part on It Could Happen to You, as you know I was telling you about, with Nicolas Cage. But really, my studies were all in Manhattan, and learning different methodologies, and till I finally found the technique that worked for me, that I really loved. And with that, I just did a lot of stage.
So you're a stage actress. I
did a lot of stage, and I did off-Broadway, but really some nice meaty roles where I really got to learn a lot of different things about life in the theater. And I also did, of course, One Life to Live. So this is a funny story actually, how I was a day player, and I was a nurse, so Nurse Lawson. So every time someone was in the hospital, and you know how the daytime soaps are, so-and-so was in the hospital, so it was good, because then I got called in for work. And those were the days when the script came to you, it was delivered to you. It wasn't, there was no email, and
it was paper.
Everything was paper. And I started as, I didn't start as an extra. I started as a U5. And I'm always so grateful. You know how you're always so grateful for that first person that gave you that opportunity to actually speak in front of a camera.
Yes.
And I thought, oh boy, now I asked for it. There's 5 cameras around. And I'm like,
and then you're scared.
And I was like, okay. And but she initially was Tori Visgilio. Lovely young lady. She initially had called me in from Screen Actors Guild. I did those ballot auditions where you get a ballot, you win, you go, you audition. And she called me in about a week later, and she called me for extra work. And now at this point in time, I'd been on the stage a lot. I also was in a sketch comedy troupe. So I was very, and I really felt that I was really honing my craft, and I spent every single dollar that I made on all of my classes. And I said, I'm just not doing extra work anymore. So I said, I appreciate, the opportunity, but I'm really not going to do extra work. My friends were like, are you crazy? And I says, no, I'm just going to, she's never going to call you again. And she did.
Well,
she called me for U5.
That's it.
And so I got a call for Under 5, and I was like, yes. So I went, and I did a U5, and then that turned into day player role.
That's great.
Because because the characters, the episodic roles, they were going up on their lines, which worked out in my favor, because then I got to add lines to get them back into this, the script.
The connective tissue.
And I was like, it was like, oh, you just bumped yourself up to, day player. And I'm like,
It was wonderful.
Yeah, so that's how that started, you know, and
Yeah, I remember James Frawley, William Frawley's son, who was Fred Mertz on I Love Lucy.
Yes.
His son was the person who gave me my first line on Cagney and Lacey. And then after that, I wound up getting day player rates.
You see, and you never forget, because it takes so long to get.
Right. From extra to actor.
It just takes so long, you know.
And I remember the first time I was in a movie that I spoke, it was like every eye is on you. You know, it's like when you were in the background, no one really pays attention to you. But as soon as you start talking, it's like everybody is focused in on you.
Yes, yes.
And that could be terrifying, but it's also fun at the same time.
It's also fun at the same time. For me, it was a lot of, you know, the technical that was really great for me to start learning with the different cameras, because you know how every show in daytime soap opera, you know, they have several cameras, and but I took classes to.
Right.
So I said, well, let me apply what I was learning.
Right.
So, you know, so that was, it was all good. And yeah, it's been quite a fun adventure, and then different twists and turns in life. But I'm back here again, and
are you excited about it this time around?
I am excited about it.
That's
yeah,
wonderful.
It's a perfect time to swing back in. And
when did you decide to swing? Is it like right now?
Good question. I decided. Well, I started writing a book, and which we'll talk about later.
Right.
But I decided that this was going to be my way back into the industry.
Right.
And especially because I'm really enjoying my writing so much. And the other part of my dream is to produce. So as a writer-producer, that would be wonderful. But I'd like to, yeah, I decided in the past maybe 9 months that I was ready to go back into the industry. Although 2 years ago, I did start to audition. I was going to Equity, the Equity building, and I was you know, doing a lot of different auditions. I started, and then I stopped because it was taking me away from focus on my book.
I see.
So my book is finished, my book is launched, and I'm back to auditioning.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you prefer stage to film or television?
No, I love both.
Right.
I have to say I love both. I love stage. There's a different high that you get on stage. It's much different, I feel, than being in front of the camera.
Well, I have stage fright. I mean, I love cameras.
I understand.
But I have stage fright. I have stage fright. And
Yeah.
I remember even when I was a kid running for like office in school, my legs would shake. I mean, I couldn't get over that.
Yeah.
And I still haven't.
I'll tell you what, you know, it's really funny. I think it's from, I don't, because I did a lot of it, and even as a showgirl dancer, you know, you start doing, when you do the same show all the time, that's one thing. It's always about, for me anyway, it's always about making it fresh every time.
Right.
And so you're forgetting about the audience. It's just really all about how can I be really, really present and make tonight's performance just as wonderful as last night's performance, or better than last night's performance. And it's always about just being fresh all the time. And so focusing, for me, what works is just focusing on that and focusing on being very present. Really takes me off of the audience. However, when I was doing sketch comedy, that was a whole different ballgame. Comedy is so, I find it to be completely different than even like the drama. There's comedy in the drama in plays, but it's different than sketch comedy. You know, sketch comedy was a little scripted. Some were scripted, and then some things were really improv. Right. And that's a whole different ballgame. Right. So fun. Improv is so fun.
Yeah, and I do a show called Scriptless, which is totally improv, but that's...
It's so fun. And I learned improv from Martin DeMott from Second City, Chicago.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Oh, he was amazing. He was amazing. You learn a lot about life doing improv as well.
Right. You learn a lot about yourself as well.
Yes.
Because you have to really listen as well as, and you have to be quick.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it's, and when the balls drops, then you have to pick it up.
Yes. Right. Yes. Always make your partner right. Always make your partner right.
So, you know, the stage though, that was always when you're on stage, and this is what I wanted to ask you, is like when you're doing stage work rather than sketch comedy, you really, you're not really focusing it. You don't focus on the audience at all?
No, it looks black to me.
Wow. So
I'm
you're
like
only
right here. We're right here.
Just like there's no cameras right now.
Exactly.
Right.
We are right here.
Okay.
Like just like this.
And what happens when you don't even hear whether it clap or anything like that, or if there's any kind of emotional sound in the audience?
Good question.
Because that was
You
the
could
thing.
really hear silence.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Especially when you need, but the silence when it's
You
good.
could really hear silence when it's good, and then all of a sudden,
Right.
if you don't stay really present with your scene partner
Right.
or whoever else is in the scene,
Right.
you know, you have to be really, really, really careful because you could get sidetracked. And to me, that's the ego. Okay, get your mind off of the silence, and then people are thinking, oh, everyone's looking at you right now. So
Right.
you can either get paranoid or think like, oh, I'm doing so great right now, and you can't get in that trap.
Right.
That's a trap.
Right. No, I was right.
That is a trap.
That's a trap that scares the trap out of me.
Yeah, and the laughter. Let's see. Come Blow Your Horn. There were a lot of laughs in that one. I don't remember it throwing me at all. I'll tell you what. Doris from Owl and the Pussycat.
Right.
I played Doris, and that was like vomiting dialogue. There was, and there was so much dialogue, and it was just two people in that whole play.
Wow.
That was quite a play to carry, and a lot of laughter. And honestly, it was more thrilling to me. It was exciting.
Did you do stand-up as well, or?
No.
Okay.
I'm
'Cause
not
I would
really
think-
funny.
I know people
I don't
who
think
do,
I'm funny.
Some people who do stand-up, they have to be involved with the audience. I mean, that's a different dynamic, I would think,
Yes.
totally, than sketch comedy or
Yes.
acting.
Yeah. That would actually scare me.
I know
would be
two
like,
people who.
especially if you bomb
Right.
and laughed at that joke
Right.
or several jokes. I'm like, oh,
I have
that would
two
just scare
people
me.
two friends that do stand-up, and one of them now is on Broadway. He just got his first gig.
Oh,
on
how
Broadway.
wonderful!
That's
fabulous.
It is fabulous. So you do some co-hosting as well, right? Or
I do some co-hosting. I co-hosted a woman's, the Total Woman, the Total Woman show. It's actually a transformation TV.
Yeah.
Was the network, and it's still going actually. In the West Coast is where she does her show, and Dr. Barbara Young, and she had me out, and I did 5 episodes. She's always calling me back, but flying there and
it's a schlep.
It's a schlep, and she's not. And I'll tell you, she's not close to LAX, to the airport in LA.
Right.
She's further south.
Right.
And so is the studio.
Right.
So it was a schlep, and I was tired, and everyone else was 2 people were from the Los Angeles area. One gal actually came from Canada, so she schlepped over too. I can't really complain. But it was a really great time because we were just, 4 women just kind of talking about all different things.
Right.
More so, a lot. This was while I was writing my book. So there were a lot of different subjects that came up, which I really enjoyed. Some were very about yourself, something very spiritual. And the other, there were topics, real life topics that people really don't feel comfortable discussing that we discussed, like eating disorders and domestic violence.
Real life stuff.
Real life stuff.
And I know you brought a clip to share with the audience.
I did. Do we have that clip?
Yeah, let's just share it, okay? So let's watch Lily in this clip and enjoy it, please.
Their name, and they say their name, who you want that, and then all of a sudden it's, it's not toy, it's my toy. So they're already learning how to identify with things. And of course you can't raise a child, no, nothing is yours, it's all part of the universe. Like you can't, of course they're going to identify, this is what we do,
I'm going to try that.
But if we take the my out of everything as adults speaking here, for the purpose of trying to, bring awareness on this show. If we take the my out of everything, we're taking the ego out of everything.
Yes.
So it's not, you know, my life. It's not my certification. It's not my, you know, bachelor degree. It's not my PhD. It is it's important, and it's part of all the things of form of this world. But when you take that away, there's the formless. And what's left, what's there, is the essence of you. Yes. You know, as a professional dancer, it's that in your mind and the way society has it right now, is that's the image that we hired you for.
Yeah.
When I traveled with Ringling Brothers, Bonner and Bailey Circus as a showgirl.
Wow.
For 1 year.
You didn't tell me that.
I did not.
You need to come back.
And every single bead, grommet was all tailored. They measured every single inch of my body. Thousands of dollars, the big headset.
Wow.
In the contract, if you gained, we had weigh-ins.
Oh, wow.
We had weigh-ins every Saturday. We had 3 shows. We had 11 shows a week. I'm telling you, you know, to be afraid to leave.
Because when he's
Yeah,
good,
exactly.
when he was good, he's
No,
very
because
good.
a few years ago I was dating this guy. Well, we had gone out for a few months, and then all of a sudden one day he asked me for my password for my email.
Right. Ooh, that's a
Well, I
sign.
was like-
That's a sign.
Exactly. I was like, why do you know my password? Why do you know my password? And he was
No wonder why I'm single.
you know, and then he goes, well, I'll give you mine. I said, well, I am not interested in yours.
I'm not interested in yours.
That was it. I didn't go out.
What an excellent clip. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
And such wonderful clothes. Wow.
Thank you.
Excellent. That's your wardrobe? Or?
That was, I just packed it all myself, yeah.
So how many shows you did? 5?
I did 5 episodes.
Right.
There's only 3 episodes in that clip that you showed. Yeah.
Right. So looks like you had fun.
It was good fun.
Right.
It was really good fun.
They
know?
and did you do those 5? Like they took you there for a week or something? Or how did it work?
Yeah, it was about that. A little less than a week. It was about 3 days, and we did all 5 episodes, you know, one after the other. It was, you know, long. We kept changing and
Did you
acting
hang out
like
for
it was
a while,
different
or-
day, you know.
I mean, did you do anything fun other than shooting?
Not a thing.
Not a thing.
Then I had to fly home.
Wow.
It was tiring.
Yeah, it is.
It's tiring.
Yeah, but it's a good tiring. I love working on television or film.
So do I.
It's just
Yeah.
like usually I'm not tired when I'm doing it. I'm not tired. It's like afterwards. It's like whew,
Yes,
you know, it's like
it's the traveling.
Right.
The work itself is not as tiring, not to me.
Right.
But you know what's interesting is it's a whole different dynamic, isn't it? Like doing this.
Right.
It's a whole different dynamic than you know, having a script and
Right.
you know, memorizing your lines, you know, getting your character down, and
Right.
you know, this is like to have this conversation and.
But this
know.
is also kind of like not real life also, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
This has to be stressful too, because you must have, you know, sometimes you'll have someone that does
Right.
not like really one
Right, I won't
word
mention
answers.
anything. I won't mention
that
those
has
people.
to happen, right?
Well, there's all kinds of dynamics that happen. You know, sometimes you have someone that you're not exactly sure you even wanted as a guest, but they're
Yeah.
sitting there, you know. And it's,
Yes, like why
or,
is this person here?
or that you had them before, but all of a sudden a different type of kind of part of their personality is coming out, you know. And it's like, oh my God, you know.
It's like going to your favorite a restaurant where you remembered this dish was delicious,
Right.
and then you go back, you get the same dish, and it tastes different. I'm
Right.
like,
Maybe
it's
a
not
diff-
consistent
Maybe
here.
it's not a different chef is making it. They're
Yeah,
calling it the same
exactly.
food.
There you go.
Right. So tell me about The Truth.
Oh, the truth. You mean my book?
Your book, that's
my
correct.
book. Well, I have a present for you.
Oh my God. Thank you so
Every
much.
host should
Should I
have
open
a
it?
present. Yes, please
Okay,
do.
okay.
So while you open it,
Yes.
while he opens it, I'll tell you about the truth. So my
Okay.
book is called Truth to Triumph.
Right.
And I started writing this book 3.5 years ago, and to completion, and launched it just a couple of months ago. And it was something that I'd been wanting to
Wow.
do. And
Quick.
there's the book.
Okay.
And I signed it for you inside.
Over here. Oh, cool. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I can't wait to read it.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm really glad. Just dive in. And really, it is a mindful selection of true stories,
Right.
never before told stories
Right.
of my own. And but I really did it with a lot of spiritual undertones. So it really comes together as this symphony of inspiration and insight. And basically, initially I wanted to call this book "Don't Let This Happen to You."
Right.
And I said, no, that would be silly because it's a serious book, because a lot of the stories in here are very raw.
Right.
But it's not about the stories. It's really about how someone can really, reading this, can really, if they look at me and my story and where I am again now, where I was, and I talk about my acting in here, and I talk about different things with dance, but the point is, it really helps people in a transformative way where they learn how to really live through life without, navigate through life without losing their truth.
Well, you seem to have your truth really centered.
You know, you have to know your truth. You know, first you have to know who you are,
Right.
and then why you're here and what it is that you're here to do.
So how'd you come up with the idea of that you could write? You know, I mean...
Good question. I always wanted to write. I remember many years ago taking a screenplay course in Screen Actors Guild at the SAG building.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And don't laugh.
I'm not.
Don't laugh.
Who's laughing?
I still have my notes.
Oh.
And I have been journaling all of my life, so I also have my journals. That the papers, because again, this is before we had the laptops and you know, these phones, and I'm dating myself, but it's true. And my pages are yellow. It's pretty cool.
I know.
How long I've kept.
That's
but I've
awesome.
always wanted to write. I've always wanted to write a book or several books, and I've always wanted to be a writer-producer. So
what was it like when someone actually printed your book? I mean, I know people who have written things. I only know a few people who have written things that actually have gotten published, but I know a lot of people who've tried to write and didn't get it published. I mean, was it like one of these, like, they're printing my book, or?
Right. Okay, so that's a good question. That's a good question as well. So I research. I'm a huge researcher.
Right.
And you have to be in order to be a writer, I think, in my opinion, in my view. So I researched publishing, and what I found was that there were many, many publishing houses back in the day,
Right.
and maybe 6 now in New York.
Right.
And I said, what's up with that? Researched further. So P.S., it's really the way to go is to self-publish.
Oh. That's the way to go.
So ABL over here,
Yes.
that's me.
Oh, cool.
And ABL stands for nothing other than All About Love,
Oh, I
because the
like
book
it.
is all about love.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I work also in print media right now, as well as media. And print is, it's kind of dying. But before it dies, I mean, print media.
It's not that
I mean, I work for a newspaper and magazine.
yeah, it's not that it's dying so much. Like, people still love a book.
Oh,
you know?
no, yeah.
But to have that alternative of an e-book, or a digital book, is wonderful.
Yeah, but to have
Because
these pictures and to hold on to it.
I think so as well. And
Right.
it's funny that you said you do media.
Yes.
Because I'm now an expert media contributor.
Oh, cool.
I've been really blessed.
Well, we could talk about that after the show, but you know what? I really want to share your other clip that you brought.
great.
So,
We have that?
Could you describe the clip a little bit?
It's really just giving you insight about the book.
Okay.
And why we feel that it would be compelling for everyone who breathes life to read it.
So let's take a look.
Okay.
Truth to Triumph. A spiritual guide to finding your truth. A riveting, raw, and inspirational must-read. This is a powerful symphony of inspiration and triumph. Discover how to love, beginning with yourself. How to forgive, including letting go of self-blame. Contribute while changing the vibrational energy of love on this planet. Learn to break the mold for generational blessings. Discover your truth and how to triumph over every life situation. Available now. Amazon.com.
I would definitely recommend it to all our viewers. So this is pretty
There
awesome.
you have it.
It's great.
Yeah.
And it sounded so mellow, too. It was great.
Yes, yeah, that chick sounded mellow. You know, so my next book is really actually going to be, first I'm writing a one-act play.
Oh, cool.
And then these are going to be all fiction.
Right.
And then I'm going to be writing a screenplay. I'm not sure if I'm going to write it as a filmic novel and maybe have it adapted into a screenplay. You know, I'll see as the time comes.
Right. So
yeah.
it's nice to write, right? I mean,
It's really, really nice to write.
It's freeing in a way, right?
It's very freeing, and it really just warms my heart. I love to express, obviously you know, I mean,
Right.
look, you're such an amazing actor, and you express yourself, and I think that all people that are artistic,
Right.
you know, we're all artistic, we're artists, and we're born to express.
Right, if we don't-
Whether we're expressing in dance or theater or, you know, behind the camera, in front of the camera, or on paper.
Right.
Right?
That's it. I mean, I had friends in Hollywood who were artists, you know, who painted and all this, but they were also musicians, and they were, you know, all the.
Yes.
It's like the same thing.
We
It's
all have those artistic things in our closets, don't we?
Absolutely. So it's amazing how, like, people aren't just usually the artistic people have more than one way to vent their art. You know, it is interesting.
The key is to really do something with it, though.
Right.
You know, the key is not to just, you know, wish it, you know, or, you know, but you've got to will it. You've got to make that plan and just do it.
You only have one life, you know.
One life to live.
That's it. One life to live.
Pardon the pun.
No, it's so true.
It's so true.
And you know, even my dad, who's 103.
Oh, God
you know,
bless him.
Up until
He's so
recently, he was like
adorable.
still, you know, on the show. He was still
Oh, my
acting.
goodness, I saw
Could you
the
imagine
clip.
doing that for the rest? I mean, that's
I cannot.
That's the goal, though. I can.
That is the goal.
Right, just to keep on doing the things you love.
Yeah, he is going to be my inspiration.
He's everyone's inspiration. He still has. He's still interested in life, you know. And I know many people my age who have given up, you know. And you know, even now, every now and then, I go back to Hollywood and visit my pals, and some of them are still stuck in the same place. You know?
Same place.
That's it.
Yeah.
You have to keep on moving. Right?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? A long time ago, I learned one valuable thing from a casting director, and I never ever forgot it. Do you want me to share it with you?
Please share it with me.
Okay, share it with everyone. And she's still in the business.
Right.
Big time casting director. I remember we were auditioning, and you know, I said, I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too ethnic, I'm not ethnic enough, too brunette, you know, everything, right? And she saw my frustration, and she said, Lily, do you want to stay working in this business? And I said, yes. And she said, produce your own work. And I never forgot that.
That's it.
Never. And including produced my book.
That's
you know,
awesome.
I will produce a play. I will produce, you know, produce your own work.
Right.
That's
And there's one thing,
it's a secret.
I agree with you, and there's one thing that I'll never forget, and I have to say it. That's a wrap. Good night, folks.
Good night.
Sweet thing, honey pie, looking good, caught my eye. I dig your vibe, your smile. Come here, let's talk for a